They throw me in this bachelor party. And there's like 5 dudes sitting around. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a bitch. I'm going to do this, right? So I get in the middle of them. My stomach hurts so bad. I'm talking like, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let out a silent one. Nobody will know. And it smelled like
God.
something died.
Where did you grow up?
Vegas. I'm a Vegas girl. I was born in Houston, grew up in Vegas.
So why'd you go from Houston to Vegas?
So my dad was, hey, Bill. Love you, Bill. My dad he was like in some sort of like bill collecting firm or something. I don't know. He's one of those people who called you and like really annoyed you, but he ran the whole place or something. So they moved us from Houston to Vegas, and he had his own business there doing that. So I grew up on the east side of Vegas and got in a lot of trouble. And
why'd you get in trouble? What'd you mean?
I was just a very tenacious child. So I always, I was always into something, always just pushing the boundaries. I was a born rebel. I was a rebel without a cause. I don't even know what I was fighting for, but I was fighting. I came out fighting like hell. I think a lot of it had to do with my mom when I was 3 months old. Dropped me off on a doorstep, and my dad was in the hospital. My dad was a musician, and they were partiers, and she was a stripper. And when my dad went to the hospital because he had, I think, like hepatitis, the one from food, hepatitis.
Yep.
She ran off with his organ player, dropped me off on the doorstep.
Oh my God.
And
you were 3 months old?
I was 3 months old. It took my dad 2 weeks to find me. When they did find me, these people had me like locked in a closet or something like that.
Oh my God.
So I think just not knowing who my real mom was, my dad immediately got custody of me. And this was in the 80s when a lot of dads didn't do that, So it was like, here I am getting raised by my dad, who I have my 2 uncles with him. They're not blood uncles, but they were just his best friends raising me. And it was like 3 men and a baby. And they would take me to bars and sit me on pinball tables. And like my dad always said that he knew that I was going to love Vegas because I would watch the pinball table, the lights light up, and I would just for hours would just be like, oh my God, the lights, as a kid. So I think that might have kicked off my rebellious streak as a child of just, like I don't know who my mom is, and, just kind of not knowing how to deal with trauma at such a young age.
Well, I mean, sounds like your mom was a rebel of her own kind. Maybe not a super healthy one, but she definitely didn't march to the beat of anybody else's drum, sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. Vanessa was a wild one.
Do you know her?
She passed last year, but
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Her and I started a relationship. I found her online when I was 22, and my mom was a drug addict, so it was really hard to get close to her. I couldn't ever get her to come meet me in person or anything like that. It was like, if you want to see me, you have to come see me, So finally, when I was around 36 years old, I was like, okay, I got to go meet my mom at least once face to face. And when I did, of course, my expectations were way too high, and I was a letdown. But I still loved her regardless. And I knew that loving her meant that I was going to have to forgive her, and it wasn't for her, it was for me. So that was the journey I went on. And then the last year before she died, I got to inherit custody of her. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, her doctor called me in April of, I think it was 2022 or 2023, 2023. I don't know. 2022? Yeah, because it's 2023. Okay. Sorry. I never know. I never know where I'm at.
Right. I don't either. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. They were like, your mom's on a ventilator. If you want to come say goodbye to her, come say your last goodbyes or whatever. And I was like, I'm not gonna let my mom die alone in a hospital. Like, no matter what has gone on in our life, I'm not gonna let her die alone. So I drove, 4 hours from Nashville to Indiana, got there, sat by her side, and the old bird didn't die. She woke up, and I was like, Mom, I love you. But she was living in a house that was dilapidated. It was condemned, didn't have running water. Like, it was just bad. And I was like, you know what, Mom, come to Nashville. I'm going to take care of you.
What have you not done yet that you want to do?
What have I not done? Like on our 5-year plan that we made, or just kind of in general in life. I mean, I started my podcast, the Dumb Blonde podcast, in 2016. 18. Why do I always think it was the 16th? Yeah, or 16 in 2018. And it has grown to levels that I never thought possible, dude. I mean, we're getting like close to 2 million downloads a month.
Amazing.
Like, I mean, it's insane. I'm making 6 figures a month off of it. And I don't say that to brag. I say that because I can't fucking believe it.
Right.
You know, like off of like I'm used to having to take my clothes off to make a living. And I'm making that much money with my clothes on is just so insane. I was able to retire from being an internet hoe this year because of the podcast, you know? And it's like,
wait a minute. I don't know anything about you being an internet hoe. What does that mean?
All right. Well, let me teach you, LeeAnn. So I got into the adult industry at a very young age. Probably, I tried when I was 18, farted on somebody and left because I was humiliated and just couldn't do it.
Are you talking about porn?
No. Well, I mean, no, I didn't do porn. I was a stripper,
okay.
Yes.
And you farted on somebody? I love you so much because I would have farted all over everybody.
I was so nervous. I had bubble guts. It was the worst thing in the world. So I'm 18. My friends, everybody in Vegas, I grew up in a different lifestyle. When you grow up in Vegas and sometimes, you know, out here in LA too, it's just everything is sex, drugs, and rock and roll, period. Like, and that's how Vegas is. So when you grow up in Vegas, girls don't say, oh, I want to grow up and be a doctor. They say, I want to grow up and be a stripper. You know, that's just how it happens.
Right.
So 18, all my friends are dancing. I'm, you know, still just trying to figure out life. And they took me to Cheetahs, which is so gross. Now, do you know Cheetahs?
Oh, yeah, I've been to Cheetahs.
Okay. Yeah. They took me to Cheetahs and they just put me in this outfit, my girlfriends, and they throw me out on the floor. And I'm just like, I'm like a deer in headlights, just like, what is happening? Like, where am I? And, you know, I grew up my dad went from being a musician to a straight Bible thumper.
Wow.
So it was like, you can't listen to secular music, even though I grew up on nothing but rock and roll and watching my dad's band play. Like, it was
crazy.
I think it's because he had an affair and then my stepmom made him become like that person or they were going to split. So, you know, so I had all this religious trauma too that I was dealing with. And I was just like, oh my God, this isn't right. And, you know, I'm going to go to hell. And they throw me in this bachelor party. And there's like 5 dudes sitting around. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a bitch. I'm going to do this, right? So I get in the middle of them. My stomach hurts so bad. I'm talking like, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let out a silent one. Nobody will know, right?
Oh,
so I'm
my God.
giving this lap dance. I let it out. And I'm telling you, it was one of those farts that like, I call them fluffs. It was one of those fluffs that flattens your stomach, you know, like instantly where you just feel so much relief.
Yeah.
And it smelled like something died. These dudes, the dude I was dancing for jumps up, looks at his friend across the way and goes, you're fucking nasty.
Oh my God.
And they all start blaming each other because it smelled so bad. So I didn't even get my money. I just literally ran out of there and was just like, I'm never dancing again, ever in my entire life.